All right. So now, first, before I start, let me tell you how this idea was inspired. Right. I I like to help people. It's number one. I know you can't see my face. I don't care. I'm ugly. Um, I like to help people. Number one, and I feel like I do have a decent amount of knowledge in fighting games to be able to help people in this particular department get better. So I have a hard time expressing, what I actually know into words. So this idea, the lesson plan, is made to help you guys, in certain aspects of fighting games, mainly beginner, intermediate level players. Um, and it's also, so I can help me, so it can help me like be able to help other people without having to use, the PowerPoints or like having to read something to somebody and whatnot. So I can just, I can be a better help to people, right? So the lesson plan, this is just me, nobody else, and I feel like bringing it out this way in particular would be pretty helpful to, uh, to everyone, right? So it'll be a combination of this PowerPoint you see before you, and then, I'll be switching back and forth the default overlay and whatnot. But I don't know how long we'll be here for until it's done, I guess. Hopefully I don't go over an hour. I don't want to go over an hour, so let's try and reach that goal. All right. So now let's uh let's move on, right? October, this is the first time I'm doing this, right? It's going to be a weekly thing. So I have for the rest of October, today we're going over trades. Trades and fighting games, we'll get into it more, but it's a common. That's construction outside. All right, it's a common. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a common scenario in in literally every match that you play. There's always some form of trading, and that's what we're gonna go over today. And next week we'll go over hit confirms, which I'll get into on that day, and then anti-airs as well on the 28th. So you can see by the schedule, this is going to be a weekly thing. Gonna happen every Wednesday afternoon until I run out of things to teach you guys, which will probably never happen. Okay? So, moving on. First, what is a trade? Obviously, that's primary objective. That's the main thing that we want to know. So a trade, by the actual dictionary definition, the trade is the act of exchanging one thing for another. So in fighting games, well, let's say in real life, you want to, let's say you're trying to buy something, you're exchanging your money for whatever product you want to buy, right? So in fighting games, trades happen, where you're trading like damage, things like damage for a position that you want to be in. Sometimes you'll sacrifice like let's say in Mortal Kombat, let's say like 5 or 10%, but you maintain corner control. So something like that is actually considered a trade-off. And then like the basic kind of trade, which is like your opponent and you hit something at the same time, and both of you trade hits, both of you lose damage or lose life. So that's the basic definition of a trade. If you don't know, I think for the most part it's common knowledge, but if you don't know, that's exactly what a trade is. Just the exact definition, the exact real life definition is what it is in fighting games, exchanging one thing for another. Now, in fighting games, as I just said, um, there are four common types of trades. There's damage for damage, right, or life for life, however you want to say it, which is like if we both press like a 5 frame button at the same time, they're both gonna trade, and you're both gonna lose life, right? As I just explained, damage for position, We have damage for meter, which we'll get into later. And then either of those three, damage, meter, position for the round. You know, because the round at the end of the day is really the most important thing, right? So, but you got to see how much you're actually losing to get that round. Okay? And also, by the way, you guys can stop me any questions you have about what I'm probably going to go over. Just write it out in the stream chat. Hopefully I see it in time to answer your question. If not, I'll leave some room for the end as well, so you can ask me again. So we're gonna go through each of these one by one. So and that's gonna be for today, right? So damage for damage, right? Damage for damage is the most basic form of trading. This is the one that you see that we hear and see that is the most common kind of trade. That's the one. That's the main trade that'll get acknowledged. Like when you hear commentators say, you know, that they traded hits or whatever, that's the most common form of trading, right? And as I just said, if you and your opponent clash on the same active frame, both of you will lose health, which is, I guess, an in-depth definition of a damage for damage trade. Now, depending on how much hit stun a move may have, depending on what game you play, like how the trading mechanics work and stuff, depending on how much hit stun you have, a player might be able to further continue a combo from the initial trade, right? So let's see what we have here, right? Let me bring it back to the game real quick. So I'm gonna record Kano doing a stand one, right? So that's a stand one. I'm blocking right after, right? So let's try and make a trade happen. So there's a trade, right? Now, some games you'll be able to continue a combo. In this game, which I didn't know until just recently, certain characters, certain trades you can continue a combo also. So let's say Kotal Khan, I'm gonna trade with my back one versus his stand jab. Now Kano's stand jab doesn't have that much hit stun, meanwhile mine does. Mine has a little more to be able to continue a combo. Mine has 15, right? So 15 9-frame startup. So let's see. Let's see if I can make the trade happen. So that's a 3-hit combo. That means comboed right off the trade. See if I can do it again. This game is so like wonky with things like this. So I would be able to continue combo, get like 40% or whatever the case is off of a trade, right? Because the initial hit had just enough hit stun for me to get to further continue my combo. Is everything clear so far? By the way, remember, if not, you guys can just, you know, don't hesitate to stop me. This is my first time doing something like this, so, you know, if I'm moving too fast, too slow, whatever the case is, just let me know. You know, because with a lesson like this, there's actually not that much for me to go over. So I doubt I'll be here for that long, you know. Maybe like 20 minutes at most. Because it's actually a really simple concept when it's broken down, you know, in a certain manner. Does Ultra allow you to continue combo off a trade? I actually never thought about that. Yes, it does. Ultra, okay. So, let me do this real quick. I actually have a video of that happening in Ultra Street Fighter 4. Give me 1 second. I need some music next time. I don't have any music on deck, so. But next time when there's dead silence, I'll get some music going. Okay. So, let's watch this video. There is a, I don't know where the sound is for this. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I can't hear anything. That might just be my headset. Hold on one second. Let me do this. Okay. So right here, pretty much, Cody has an overhead, right? Cody has an overhead that it has a lot of hit stun for the most part. So if he's gonna trade with like a crouch jab or something, just like as you saw there, he's gonna be able to continue the combo. No, he shows multiple examples of this, and this is something that's common in every fighting game, I believe. It's common in every fighting game. And you know, this isn't like the only like kind of trade. You can see things like let's say like Sakura. Like if Sakura does a stand fierce or something and it trades with like your opponent's like jab, she'll be able to like do an ultra immediately or something, or get like a really big combo. This is actually a really good video for something like that. All right. Oh, this is not what I want. Let me remove. Got it. Yeah, so an ultra, as you just saw, definitely allows the same thing. So, Fat Boy, I know you played Dudley. So if you watch Smug, right? Sometimes Smug will do, what is it? I think it's crouch heavy punch. It's a frame trap. You know, if he gets like a counter hit, he'll get, you know, ultra or whatever, I think. But at the same time, since it's kind of slow, if he times it right with when he thinks his opponent's gonna press a button, those two are gonna trade, and then he's gonna get he usually goes for I think another ultra. So he'll do like crouch heavy punch trade into ultra, or into stand fierce if he doesn't have the ultra. So that's just like an example of another like trade scenario that'll happen in ultra. I don't have video on that on deck, but yeah. All right. So that's damage for damage, life for life, however you want to, you know, interpret it. Pretty much the same thing. So moving on. I think, unless I have something else written. No. It's all good, Nino. The archives will be up. This will be up on YouTube. With the PowerPoint, I guess, attached somehow, if I can do that. So the next one is damage for position. Right now, this is not a commonly acknowledged trade, but well, actually it is. Sometimes you'll hear you know, like certain commentators, like they'll see somebody doing a combo that takes them out of the corner, and now like you got to think, like, was the damage really worth losing that corner control that you had on your opponent, right? So when you're doing a max damage combo, like let's say let me see. Let's see. I have Kotal Khan here, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me take him off record. I don't need it. put him in the corner. So now max damage with Kotal would be ending with command grab. We'll be ending with a max damage command grab. Right? So, yeah, exactly, Nino. Yeah. So max damage would be ending with that. So let's say I do a combo like this. Not that. I don't know why I'm on stick. I think. Okay, yeah, so I'll do something like that. So something like that, 37%. Let me do it. So this is 60%. I mean, this is Kotal Kahn, by the way. Like, you know, he kind of just does stupid damage. But you could think about it in the sense of like another character that won't get as much damage. So if I'm doing that, now ending with the air grab gave me 55%, but it put them right back into the corner. Right? Sub-Zero is another perfect example I could use too. Unfortunately, I don't have the combos like down pat, but in case of Kotal Kahn, you know, you have 60% versus 55%. Let's say that the numbers are lower because, you know, Kotal does really retarded damage. But let's say like 30% as opposed to 25%. Now, when you're doing the 30%, you know that 30% is going to take them out of the corner. So now you have to think like, okay, I did 30%, I just did an extra 5%. Now he's out of the corner. Now they have a whole bunch of room to work with, you know, because their back isn't towards the wall anymore. And it'll be harder for you, more than likely harder for you to get back that kind of control. And now they can play, you know, like a comfortable zoning game, and they can control space too, which they couldn't do in the corner because they're trapped. But you're sacrificing the 5% now to end the combo with the air grab instead of the command grab. And then now their back is towards the wall again, or still. And then you can continue pressure and more than likely get more damage than you would have gotten if you would have did the 30%. Because the 30% was straight damage, but that could be all that you would have gotten for that round because they would have got away from you. Whereas the 25%, you know, they're still in the corner, and now they're in danger of, like, you know, for chip damage or just like frame traps and different kinds of pressure like that because they're in the corner. And, you know, they might want to take more risks and stuff because they still have to get out, right? So always ask yourself when you're going for the damage, you know, is the damage worth losing all that control? You know, some characters like let's say Akuma, when he does a combo into Tatsu and it ends with a sweep, you know, he's sacrificing a good like 60 damage or 50 damage. If he would have did DP, he would have did more damage. But they're not in a position. Akuma's not in a position where they can pressure you again or where they can go for an unblockable or for another 50-50. But if he did the hard knockdown, if he went into the sweep, then he would have gotten another series of pressure, or, you know, like another unblockable or whatever, gotten even more damage. So, you know, in most cases, the damage, when it comes to damage or position, it usually comes down to if you're gonna win the round or not, with going for the max damage. Which we'll get into that later when we talk about when it comes to trading damage for the round, because some games are different. But in most cases, that's when you're really gonna want to go for the damage instead of maintaining the position that you had in the first place. Because nobody wants to be in the corner. That's just straight up. Most characters are deadly in the corner, right? So, you know, always ask yourself, is the damage worth losing the control? That's the main idea of this. All right. So damage for meter. Meter in just about every fighting game is precious. Meter is extremely important, you know, and there are some combos that really hurt but cost like 2 bars, 3 bars. In Street Fighter's case, all your meter. You know, when it comes to like doing supers or like two FADCs in one combo, like silly stuff like that, right? So, um, ask yourself how much meter you're getting, like how much damage are you getting for the bar you're spending. You know, like while I still have Kodokan on the screen, you can see probably that 2 bars is worth it, right? Because 60% is 60%. It's a lot of life being lost, or 55%, same thing. But let's say for a character like Kano. Alright, let me switch over to Kano. One second. Controlling player 2. Center. Alright, now Kano, a combo like this, let's say max damage. Basic max damage. Sorry, messed up reps. Max damage, corner carry, 35%. You know, that's cool, right? But now maybe, you know, I don't confirm the eye laser, but I confirm Kano Ball instead, right? So I'll start from here. Like, let's say, you know, I don't get that confirmed. You know, instead, like, my fingers do Kano Ball, right? EX Kano Ball. So I can continue the combo. Now, at that point, I'm gonna decide, you know, whether or not I'm gonna use the second bar and get even more damage, you know, because the corner carry is pretty much the same, right? You know, their back is to the wall, 32%, right? Now, in his case, 39%, you know, it's an extra 7%, which is really good. But the meter for Kano is not mainly for damage. And some characters, you know, some characters don't need meter, like in a neutral. Like Kodokan. Kodokan doesn't need meter in neutral because he doesn't have like the best wake ups. He doesn't have, like, you know, strong tools when it comes to zoning, so he can use the meter for the EX grabs and, you know, to like do things like that to get the extra damage. But Kano has, you know, EX knives, and it's a really good zoning tool. So now, since he doesn't have good corner pressure and whatever, I'm down a bar, and, you know, in case things go south, you know, I can't I probably won't be able to keep up like strong zoning with no meter, and if they knock me down, you know, I can't do EX up all, which is safe, right? So, you know, I'm doing an extra, you know, like 7%, maybe 7%, sometimes like 5%. But, you know, having the bar is important, and I only get the bar from getting hit. So, you know, I have to be really wise about how I'm going to use all of my bar. Right, so the main idea is you want to ask yourself how much more damage are you getting from the combo you're using a second or a third bar for. And most of the time, 3-bar combos, especially in Mortal Kombat, are never worth it unless it's like an X-ray. But and then that more than likely not worth it unless it's gonna end the round. But is the damage worth the meter you spend? You know, when you're taking trades like this, you know, these aren't trades between you and your opponent. This is a trade, you know, like within a decision that you made. You know, so it's gonna be a snap decision for the most part, but you have to be able to make those quick decisions, and you know they have to be calculated. You know, hopefully you made the right decision when the time comes. All right, what's the next? Okay, now the round. Let's use. I'm gonna continue to use Mortal Kombat for example, because certain things in this game when it comes to meter management and how like you know when you win or lose a round, how that stuff works is really interesting, right? Because you don't start in a neutral space all the time. You know, if you die in the corner, you're still in the corner for the next round. So at the end of the day, the round or the match point is the most important thing, because um, you would rather be up a round because you have more chances. You have more chances just in case you know you screw up. So not gonna be able to show exactly here, but I can show combos that, let's say, I can actually lower the life. 40%. Alright, so we're at 40%, right? Now, a max damage combo, in most cases, would end with an uppercut, because uppercuts raw do 14%, right? So, in a case like this, this combo, let me see, let me reset, hold on. You know, something like this would end the round 37%, right? So the round is over. Let's, you know, hypothetically say the round is over. But now, where am I? Look at where I'm at. In the corner, you know, it says round 2 fight, final round fight. But now I'm in a position where I have to take a risk to get out of the corner, or you know, they have to screw up. And you know, if I'm doing something like that against a character like let's say Quan Chi, because you know Quan Chi is a really devastating character, especially in the corner. But if I end a combo with like an uppercut or something that takes him out of the corner, or like let's say a grab, like even ending a combo with a grab, you know, ending with something like that. Because nowadays most people are gonna mash tech, right? So, and they're gonna mash tech towards where the corner is. The end combo with a grab, you know, you have the space, sure, when the round is over, but you're still in the corner. So now, since most combos that are really really damaging, you know, end with throwing them out of the corner, you know, was it worth getting that round like that particular way, right? Could you have done another combo where it would have left them maybe on chip death, then and kept them in the corner, than to do that combo and put them out of the corner? Because you know, when you're in a neutral space in the beginning, right? Most characters' objective is to get you into the corner, and no matter how much life they have, if you're in the corner, you know, you're probably gonna die. So at the start of the next round, you know, the work is already done for them. You're already in the corner, you know, they can do whatever they do, right? So, you know, sometimes you can win the round, but you're gonna lose that corner control, and it might not be worth it to do that particular max damage combo. Maybe you want to leave them on a pixel, or leave them like 2-3%, chip them out, you know. And that also at the same time is a risk, because you know, in a game where like Street Fighter, where there's invincible wake ups, you know, if that hits, and then they can get their sequence started. You know, you might lose the round too. But um, you know, you wanna again, it's another like snap decision, and you have to see if doing that particular ender was worth it at the end of the day. Right, so that's like as far as damage goes. Now meter, you know, some combos, like some more damaging combos, cost a lot of meter. But also some characters need the meter to function. You know, not every character is, you know, strong without having meter. So, you know, when you're closing out a round, you know, sometimes like in Street Fighter, you'll see, like, I'll use Akuma as another example. Let's say he needs the EX bar if he wants to close out the round right away. So, you know, you'll do like crouch strong, stand fierce, Tatsu, and then you can do regular heavy DP, which is it'll do like 40, about 40 less than an EX DP, but the EX DP is gonna close out the round. So now, like, what do? Right? Do you use the bar to close out the round, then you go into the next match without that bar, or do you be conservative and, you know, you let them live for, you know, hopefully another like 10, like not 10, like 5 seconds or so, but since they're alive, they still have a chance to come back. Now, the way you make that decision, well, the way I make that decision is, if I see how much life I'm up for the most part, I won't generally get greedy on closing out the round, unless I see that their character is more than capable of coming back on a pixel of some sort. Right? So, you know, that's gonna be like a kind of a matchup based thing, where, you know, your character might not have the tools to handle getting knocked down one more time, and then the character you're playing against, it's easy for them to get a knockdown. So maybe you want to just secure that round, and, you know, work slowly building back that bar, you know. So just some things, you know, you want to be wary of, you want to think about, to help you make that decision. Right. Let's go on. I believe this is the last slide. Yeah, this is actually going over. Yeah, this is still continuing on. Let me just read it out loud. A round can cost you all of your meter. As I just said, you know, sometimes you might be in a position where you're losing. Maybe you're on like 5% and they're on like 30-40%. And then you see that you got a hit. So now it's just in your head, I have to close out the round. So no matter what happens, no matter what you have to do to get that round, you probably want to get that round, because they only need to hit you like one time. So now you want to make it so that, okay, the next touch, I'm going to take the round. I'm going to be down on bar for the next round, but I need the round. Right? If you don't have like that much, like if you have like 1 bar or something, as I said before, you want to you may not want to go for max damage with meter. Sometimes some characters, they don't need meter to do like a lot of damage, like Kodokan does. I don't think he needs that much meter to do damage. He can still do like 40% without meter. So, but sometimes like a combo that costs meter could be easier, and it can secure the round instantly. So that's another, you know, that's another decision that you gotta, like another internal decision you gotta make. Whether or not, like, you want to just easily, you know, I have the round, I'm gonna use the bar for it, or you can go for the max damage without it, so that way you go into the next round loaded with meter. And then the moral period of every trade, every one of these trades that happen, the internal decisions that you make, is it worth it? Always ask yourself, is that trade gonna be worth it? but you gotta do it quick. You don't wanna freeze, when the time comes. So you kind of just have to know, like, is this trade really worth it, and can your character function well, and play the same kind of game, or nearly as good without the meter, or when they're in the corner, like, do they have a strong wake up game or something like that. Those things you have to consider when you end the round a certain way, like when you do max damage, like in Mortal Kombat, that'll take you out of the corner. Like, can your character fight with his back against the wall? So those decisions you wanna take into consideration all the time. All right, quick recap. Trades exist in all kinds of different forms. I'm sure there are more trades than the four that I've gone over, but there are trades. Every just about everything that happens in the fighting game is a trade in some kind of way, right? We went over four, like damage for damage, um, damage for position, vice versa, damage for meter, vice versa, things like that. We went over those four kinds of trades, but I'm sure there are more, right? And as you can see, most of those trades that I went over, they're controlled by you, right? So these are decisions that you made, how you want to end the round, how you want to spend your meter, like how much damage you want to get for your meter. These are decisions that you made, right? The only trade that really factors in, like, your opponent, like what your opponent does, is when you guys are clashing, when it's damage for damage. Otherwise, you made the decision to end the round a certain way. You made the decision to go for that combo, uh, the combo that's gonna keep the corner, the combo that spends the bar but does more damage, things like that. Everything that you decided to do was there's some kind of trade-off for it. And when contemplating a trade, the most important question, just trying to hammer this in your head, is that trade worth it? All right. So, um, that's it actually for the lesson plan for today. I'm gonna still stream and play some Mortal Kombat, of course, but I'm gonna go back to the first slide real quick. The agenda for October. So I have more time to prepare next Wednesday's lesson, because hit confirming it can be kind of like hard to understand and hard to do for certain people, but there are a lot of methods of practice that you can do for hit confirming, and that's the main thing I'm gonna go over, aside from what it actually is. So on the 21st, we'll probably be here at the same time, 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. And then the week after that, we'll go over anti-airs, and the different forms of anti-airing, because anti-airing is not just they jump, I'm gonna uppercut. There are many different ways that you can anti-air, and anti-airing is not always hitting. Also, it's just dealing with jump-ins, right? An anti-air, like, technique or strategy or something like that. It's not always a hit. It doesn't always have to be a combo or a single hit. So, but we're gonna go over that, in 2 weeks after we go over the hit confirming. But yeah, camera only real quick. That was the lesson plan for today. If you liked it, press 1. If you didn't like it, press 2. Hopefully I can do better next week. Any feedback, of course, is welcome. This will be on YouTube. The archives will be up, stuff like that. If I can get a link to the PowerPoint, I'll figure all that stuff out. I'll put it in the description of the YouTube page. So yeah, thank you guys for that. I'm going to play some Mortal Kombat.